Are we good to go?
Ready.
All right, so I was gonna start out because, well, I don't know what everybody else is experiencing right now, but I'm getting a lot of listings right now. I'm getting hit up for a lot of listings because I think after the start of the year, everybody decides they want to list. So I think it's super important that we have some sort of a listing presentation. And does everybody have a listing presentation or no? No. You have one? Therese, you have one? Yeah. So I didn't until, how long ago, Jackie? About 6 months ago. You know, I always kind of like to wing it, right? I'm just gonna go out there and wing it. But you really do need one, and for two reasons. One, if you're competing, you've got to have something to leave with them. You've got to have something that looks professional. And even if you're not competing, you still want to come across as professional, because when you go out and it's your repeat clients or it's your friends, you just think they're going to believe you, but you've got to really show them, okay, we're not just friends here, I'm a professional, right? And this is my professional, you know, I'm taking this seriously. You've almost got to go to a different level of the conversation and make sure, because sometimes you've got to convince them what the price is, right? What the value is, because that's the biggest thing I'm seeing right now. If things are overpriced, they are not selling. They're sitting. So the most crucial part, you know, you can go through it's like mine is, and we're gonna have these for you guys. And if you want to change them where it has it has my name, this one just has downtown, but they're just examples of what you can do. And you can change the verbiage on them. This one is, I'm here to help, start with an assessment, you know, call a professional. Why wouldn't it sell? You know, price, and it goes through all the reasons why they may not sell, that kind of thing. It's a guide for you to talk through, it's talking points, but it's also something for them to read later. But I think the hardest thing right now is convincing people of where their price needs to be, because they're all in la la. And so I think the biggest thing that you guys have got to do is sell yourself on the value. Like, you have to believe in your heart, this is where this house needs to be. And you need to confidently, you know, tell that to people. You need to relate that to these sellers, because if you're wishy-washy with it, they're gonna come over the top and they're gonna do what they want to do. And then you've got major problems. That's when they're not selling, or they're just sitting. And then it's stress for you, they're unhappy, everybody's upset, and it just doesn't go well. So I feel like when I go out, I do not give a value when I go out there the first time. I absolutely will not give a value the first time. I walk in, and they're gonna ask you think. It happened, I was showing a guy property, it's a referral, this was last night. He's like, I'm gonna take you over to the house, I want you to see my house and give me a value, right? I knew what was coming, and he walks me through and everything, what do you think? And I absolutely will not say a word, because I want to pull the most recent comps. And as sure as anything, I'll say something, and that's what sticks in their mind, and then it's off. Or if you talk to them on the phone and you give them a range, and then you get out there and their house is a disaster, how do you moonwalk out of that, right? You've already told them it's 350, and then you look at their house and it's horrible. And you know, oh, I told them 350. Then you've got to have that horrible conversation of, well, you know, how do you tell somebody your house is a disaster? It needs work. So I find that it is easier to go out, look at the condition of the house, and I tell them, I didn't even look at comps before I got here. I wanted to see what's going on with your home. And when I walk around, I let them give me the tour. I let them show me everything. I'm making notes, you know, taking some pictures. And then I'll ask them what's not working in the house. I want to know. And they'll usually tell you what's not working or what is working or what they like about the house or what they don't like about the house. And then I tell them, okay, I'm gonna give me a day or so. I'm gonna go back to the office. I'm gonna pull some comps. Jim.
I feel like Sarah's picking on me this conversation because we spoke for an hour or so. I'm having some problem with this. No,
I'm not even looking at you.
wanted to.
I was looking at Tracy.
When you're walking around, do you start to point out some things that carpet's dirty?
Yeah.
Like this is.
Yep.
So in fairness, I have had a problem pricing things correctly. Not because I don't want to, but because listings are so tough to get. And because I'm so worried about being the pal, Jim, that you trust to sell your house, rather than the real estate professional that's gonna get this done. And I think that's a distinction that I need to make. Because I've had 3 listings within the last few months. 2 of them are off the market because they didn't sell because they were priced too high. And I knew they were priced high, but I wanted to, maybe we'll get an offer close and we'll figure it out. Didn't happen in this market. The 3rd one's hanging by a thread right now.
Because it didn't appraise.
It didn't appraise.
Mhm.
So I think my approach, you and I spoke last night, is needs to be more of, listen, if you're hiring someone to stick a sign in the front yard and put this weird high price on it, I may not be the guy for you, but if your goal is to get this thing sold and maximize what you're gonna make, but still sell it, trust me to be a real estate professional and let me really give you some hard advice on pricing.
Right.
That's how I have to take it from now on. And if I don't get the listing, and
You
if
don't
I'm
get
not
it.
spinning my wheels for 4 months on this thing.
Because it's not free, right? You're paying for a photographer. It's our time, which is worth money. You might be, they want you to do all this weird stuff when
They
it
want
doesn't.
bullshit open houses and
Yes.
stuff when the price is
Yes.
too high to make.
And is it worth it to you? So that's another conversation. Like if somebody wants to go, we've all had overpriced listings. Occasionally I will take, it just depends how overpriced they are and why they're selling. If they're like, oh, just want to see what we can get, I'm not taking that listing if it's overpriced. If they're, we've got to move, we've got to go here, we've got to do this, this is our situation, then I'll take it, because then they will reduce their price. There will be a price reduction coming. But you've got to very confidently come in with your price and you've got to prove it to them why that is the price. So sometimes I sit with them with my comps and I'll say to them, all right, let's look at this one. Oh yeah. Okay. Yours is bigger. Yours is, newer. So we know yours is worth more than that. And we'll try and bracket it and do it that way. Get them involved with it. And I'll tell them, if it was my house, this is where I'd list right here. This is what I do. I always say, if it was my house. There's some taglines, some, things that you can say to them to get them to work with you. And like Jim was saying, you can say to them, I don't want to list your house to sit on the market. I want to list your house to sell. I always say that. I always say, I don't want to leave any money on the table. I want to net the most amount of money for you. But overpricing, and this is the biggest hurdle, is to get sellers to understand that by overpricing, it does not get them any more money. They think that if they overprice, that this is the classic line, we'll have room for negotiating. If you price it right, you don't have to negotiate. You're going to get lots of activity, you're going to get lots of interest, you're going to get lots of very clean offers. If you're high, you're going to get low offers. That's when you have to negotiate, because they're going to start coming in lower because you're too high. Or you'll sit and do nothing.
Or they don't even show up.
They do nothing. There's nothing more devastating. You get this listing, you're all excited, and you get no showings. You're hearing crickets. You're overpriced. And this is the other thing I tell sellers. Look, I will know within 2 weeks if this house is overpriced. If we hear nothing, if we're getting no showings, we're overpriced. If we get lots of showings and no offers, we're overpriced. It's all about price. As long as we have good professional pictures, right? Super important that we do our part, even on basic houses, good professional pictures. Good sign, which we know our signs are pretty, right? And they're always nice looking signs and nice verbiage in the MLS. That's all it is. It's not rocket science. There's no, but sellers think there's some weird thing that we can do to get this house to sell, and there isn't. It's good marketing, good pictures, and a good price. That's it. That's all it is. So if they say they want to go higher, and I know they're gonna have to sell, I'll tell them, all right, this is not where I think it's gonna appraise, because not only do we have to sell it to a buyer, we've got to sell it to the bank through an appraisal, right? So even if you get a buyer that's gonna pay this much, still got to appraise. And when I start showing them values, I always tell them, I adjust like an appraiser. I price like an appraiser. And for some reason, it gives them like, oh, like it's like that's something special. It's not. We all do it like an appraiser, right? We all do that, but we want to make sure that we are setting ourselves up as the expert. And you've got to very confidently. And so yours is worth more than this one. Yours is worth less than this one. Bracket it and then tell them where you think that price should be and then see if they'll agree to it. And if it's a weird house, because we all get weird houses that we don't know how to comp, then I'll be honest with them, like, your house is tough. Your house is unique. Your house is not cookie cutter. I make it a positive thing, but we've really got to look at this. You know, this one sold for $750. This is what this one is. How do you think this one compares to your house? And if they want to go, if there's good comps and they want to go above, ask them, why is a buyer going to pay more for yours than this one?
More importantly, how is an appraiser going to see this?
Yeah, exactly. You got to bring them into it. You got to make them buy into that price. That is the key to listings, to getting them to sell, and also to getting listings. When you are confident and you come in confidently, I don't think, and it's like, what was the training we did, Jackie? What was the book? What to say? What is the
Knowing exactly what to say.
knowing exactly what to say? Could the other agent be telling you this price because they want to secure the listing? If they tell you that, oh, this other agent said we could get 900 and you're at 750 and you're going, oh God, you know, show them the comps. Did they show you comps? I'll ask them. Did they show you comps? Where did they value it at? Where did they get this price? Because I'm sorry, I'm looking at these comps and I'm just not seeing it. And then ask them, could they be doing that high price because they just want to get the list? Right? So I think it's super important. What else are you guys seeing out there? What problems are you having with listings?
Sarah,
Getting clients to listen to you.
You've got, and it's hard. When you're a newer agent, it is difficult.
It's hard for me and getting better. It's hard for me to separate that. I try to, but sometimes they kind of.
That's why you need that's why you need a listing presentation.
Yeah.
That's why you got to come in like,
We're not friends.
we're not friends right now. I mean, because you've got to come into it like you would somebody that you don't know. You know, I mean, I would dress a little bit more, you know, maybe a little more business casual, right? I would bring this and I would show them. And I also tell them I have found, you know, or I'll give them examples. You know, I listed one here. We listed at this price. We listed 5,000 below where we thought it was going to appraise. Guess what? We sold for 10,000 above asking because we got lots. You've got to get them to buy in to the fact that if it is priced correctly, they will get lots of activity that sets them up for the biggest chance for multiple offers. That's how you get multiple offers when it's priced properly. You can't guarantee it, but it sets them up for the best opportunity. Don't tell them I'm going to get you multiple offers because that's dicey. And then you may not, but I would say this is our best opportunity and tell them the market always corrects. But we're not going to accept that first offer, you know, within 24 hours because you see agents that post, oh, accepted offer 12 hours after listing. Oh, really? Well, you don't even know what the market would do. You know, you're not exposing it to the market. As long as you're exposing the property to the market, and I don't mean for a month, but for a few days, you're gonna get some, you're gonna see what's gonna happen. And that gives you the best opportunity for multiple offers. A pocket listing, you can have it forever. I mean, that's just something that you aren't listing. But once you sign a listing agreement, then well, what depends.
From the minute you start marketing, it needs to be 24 hours into the MLS.
Okay, Jared, what were you gonna ask me?
Those sellers that are stuck on their price, they're trying to justify all their comps. And even though they don't have the understanding of, hey, well, that's not really comparable, maybe the home's like 1,200 extra square feet or something wild. And he's like, well, how about I just get my own appraisal, done and just, what's your take? Have you ever had somebody?
Oh, they
suggest
say it all the
own
time.
appraisal?
Do we need to get an appraisal? Yeah, there's a
It's not that we
problem.
need, he's saying like, hey, I'm thinking about getting an appraisal, like, I wouldn't advise that because you're stuck with it for 6 months.
No, you're not. No, you're not.
If it's epic conventional, right?
That's only when a lender orders
Oh,
it.
okay.
You can get your own appraisal at any point in time. But the problem is they don't have a price to aim for. It's
Yeah.
very difficult
Not a
for an
price.
appraiser to do an appraisal without a price to aim for. And an appraisal is an opinion of value. The next appraiser may not
And
even
then
come in the
The
same.
appraisers are more lost than basically you would be. So my suggestion,
No, go ahead.
you
Yeah,
know,
Yeah.
is just do your comparables the best you can. And yeah, why pay for that? Why have a client pay for that?
Right.
Because they're gonna adjust it once they appraise it, either up or down.
exactly. And we can't use that. The buyer can't use it.
Now the buyer.
And it may not, and it may give you a false, I mean, it's a waste of money. And see, a lot of sellers think if they get an appraisal, it can be used for the buyer. It absolutely cannot. It has to be ordered by the lender. So
With unique properties, there can be a big discrepancy against appraisals. So Angelique had last year, she sold a property in Early Mark. Early Mark does not have enough
No.
comps.
Yeah.
Big land, it was a unique property. They got into contract. One appraiser came in 100,000 off what they were in contract for. Another appraiser came off 30,000 off from appraisal. That's a 7,000 cap between the two appraisals. And that in itself is just an appraiser.
I had one in, Richfield, not Richfield, but, what's that one, Early Mark,
Pixley, Tipton,
no, Ellensworth.
Oh, wow.
And
where the heck is that?
Three houses there.
the appraiser,
That's a historic
appraiser
house.
was like, can you help me? I had to do his work. I'm like, okay, who's the appraiser here? I had to submit like comparables, how I got to my determination on the price.
On the value.
Because
I've done that before too.
I'm like, how long have
I've
you
done that
been in,
before.
the business? Because to ask me to do his work, I was like,
Hopefully you could sway it your way.
yeah,
Yeah,
I did.
Maribel had one yesterday
Oh.
that we were talking about. We had one yesterday that was kind of a unique property out in Terabella. And the people were about 100 grand off from where
Yeah,
you were,
they-
right?
They wanted a certain price. I said, well, I wouldn't advise it because if we list it at what you're wanting, people are gonna look at it. You're not gonna get a lot of activity. And I don't wanna sit here and lie to you that we can get it sold
Yeah.
at within that price. I said, and once we start, lowering the price, people are gonna wonder what's wrong with it. That's normally my.
That's right.
experience.
or
That's
how
right.
low will they go?
Yeah.
How low will they go?
Yeah,
Oh, are
how
they
they
getting
go.
desperate yet?
So I literally, as much as I hated it to do it, but I literally didn't take the list.
She sent them on their way.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
but I set it from the get-go, like, I'm here, I'm gonna give you my opinion, it might not be what you wanna hear, but again, I'm not
Yeah.
here to lie to you.
That's
I'm
a
here
great way to do
sell-
it.
I'm here to help you sell your property,
Yeah.
and this is my opinion. You're welcome to get, other opinions,
I'd rather you
and,
be disappointed with someone
Yeah,
else.
mhm.
That's right. That's right. And they will remember too, if they do list with somebody else, which I don't think they're going to. But if they did list with somebody else and it didn't sell, they're gonna remember what Maribel told them, where we should have been about that price. That's when you get listings and you get them in escrow, are you guys meeting with appraisers? Because I think you need to sell the house to the appraiser. I have the best luck when I walk through and sell the house to the appraiser, because you know what? Appraisers like nice houses too. They like clean houses. They like special houses. So I meet them out there. Some of them I don't. Some of them it's
Yeah.
just like, this is easy, but the ones that are like have a lot involved, oh, look at these Tesla batteries and look at, and look at this. I mean, you've almost got
Yeah.
to walk them through and sell them. You've got to be careful. It's a fine line. If you're too all over them, they don't like it. I always ask them, can I show you everything of the house? Yeah, love to see it. Can I show you the comps I use to price it? Yes, I like that. And then you can, maneuver through with the appraisers that way.
And there's been times when I went with the appraiser and they've noted things that I almost forgot to point out, and so they asked more details on it. And it's beautiful when they ask more details, because they're taking into account for the value. Yeah.
Right. What other problems are people having with either getting listings, pricing listings? What's the biggest challenge right now?
I think rates are gonna come down. Trump's in office now, and it's not what I'm hearing from the Fed. I heard it's gonna maybe trickle this year.
Yeah. Could go up a little bit.
And how do you respond to something like that? I would say, hey, prices are still going up. If you buy now,
You could refinance.
you could, you'll gain the equity because prices right now are going up, right? So if you're waiting, you're losing equity.
Yep.
And I also tell them, listen, there's so few really great properties. You should be focusing on the property. Historically, we made them. Good.
They're normal.
And
And
I'm ready for the.
it's not coming back.
Exactly. If we do go lower, what happens? There's a more competition, prices.
Then we get back to appraisal gaps and all that business.
Exactly.
There's still a high demand for homes, so if it's priced right, there's still multiple.
Yeah.
Right. Now, as a seller,
Sure.
I wouldn't tell my people this, but if interest rates go down, the amount of buyers that are gonna flood in, it's gonna benefit sellers.
Yeah.
Their prices are gonna go up. But again, are they gonna wait for that to happen? It's like with the bubble and before the crash, everybody was waiting that, prices are going up so fast. I'm gonna wait to sell. I'm gonna wait to sell. They waited and then it crashed and then they're like, oh shit, I waited too long, right? So, I don't think that interest rates are gonna drop to get that big influx of buyers. So if a seller is waiting for that, I think they're gonna be waiting for a while.
And then it comes back though to, like you said, though, is what their motivation is to sell.
Yep.
If they're true sellers, they're motivated to sell, they have their reason to sell is now. But if the reason isn't now,
Then you better think about if you want to take that listing or not, because those are the ones I don't like. And they're the ones that say, oh, I'm just gonna try it. Let's try this high price. No big deal if it doesn't sell. They are riding around on your neck trying to get that house sold, even though they said we don't care. Obviously they do, or they wouldn't list the house, right? But they want to play poker with you. That's the hardest thing, I think, as a real estate agent, is to get your clients to not try and bluff you as their agent. I can't help you unless you are completely honest with me and tell me, I can help you, but not as effectively. Tell me what it is. What are your motives? What do you need? Because sometimes they'll come up with something later. I'm like, well, why didn't you tell me that? Why didn't you tell me that earlier? So this gives a checklist of photos and showings. It gives a checklist. It gives 7 easy curb appeal tips. And you can go through this. You can change this. You can make it your own. You can eliminate some of the pages. You don't have, do you use one, Maribel?
Well, at
Yeah.
Century 21, we use, Century 21,
pre-made ones,
well, they have,
where you edit.
yeah.
So this one says, listing your home. When I list your home, it talks about the MLS listing signage. Well, we all know our signage is beautiful, right? Lock boxes and showing, talks about putting a lockbox. We'll do an open house if you want it. Home staging. And we do offer home staging because Connie and I do it, but only for downtown. agents. So if you have a home that needs staging, it's not that expensive. Typically, it's $1,500 to about $2,500 for Connie and I to come in and stage it, and it makes a difference. I mean, that listing of gyms on Mill,
It needs it.
it needed staging because everything was yellow and the
Blue.
and the ceiling was blue and the cabinets were yellow, and believe it or not, it looks so much better.
So what did you do in a situation like that where their colors are?
Well, we came in and did very neutral, a lot of browns, a lot of wicker, a lot of baskets, a lot of blankets that were beige and
Look.
well,
The way
Just
it's-
the copy of the stage.
Yeah.
you should have
Yeah,
seen it
but
empty.
you wouldn't
Sharice.
be able to make out like.
When I walked into it, I walked into a gym and I was like, holy shit. Yeah, I was like, what is this? And right, because you're looking at the staging instead of the colors. And so you couldn't really go black and white, because when I saw it, I was like, well, I don't know. I told Jim, I don't know if Connie's gonna want to stage this. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. So I took videos and I went to Connie, and Connie's like, oh, then she goes, no, I can do it. We can work with it. And it did come out really cute, but it made such a big, I mean, you got to make sure you're, and Connie won't stage anything unless it's immaculate either. Like, it's got to be really clean. We don't want our stuff in a dirty house. But that's the other thing. You've got to make these people clean these houses. Those are the other tough conversations to have to people about decluttering, cleaning, you know, I mean, and those are tough conversations.
I'm dealing with the one on Jade that I have. I've been asking her to, you know, put some money in paint because, you know, it has potential, but
Yeah,
It's such an emotional reaction buying a home. There's a reason why these home builders put all this money into options and staging, because when you walk in, you go.
yeah.
This is that. And the house may be just okay, but when they doll them up,
well, and they're
Yeah.
super clean. You know, you walk in,
there's music.
there's music playing. I tell my sellers, if nothing else, especially sellers with little kids, get the wipes, put them underneath the sinks in the bathrooms and the kitchens. Make sure your bathrooms. Nobody wants to go into a bathroom and think that it's a bathroom, right? They want to go into a bathroom and think, oh, it's got double sinks. Oh, it's got a tiled shower. You don't want to go in there and go, ugh, this is a germ, you know, magnet. You know, I mean, like kicking toilet seats down and doing stuff like that. Yep. Yep, so you want to make sure that bathrooms are sparkling, that kitchens are sparkling, even if they are ramming dishes in a dishwasher at night. But wipe off your mirrors. I hate toothpaste on the mirror. You know, you're showing a house and there's toothpaste on the mirror, like things like that. But so get them those wipes. You can even bring them like a little cart, a little care kit for each bathroom, or they could carry it from bathroom to bathroom and do it. I get it. It's tough with kids. But you are the professional and we do want that top dollar. And you might say that I've also told people start packing, you know, like we want to get rid of as much clutter as we can. We want to depersonalize it as much as possible. Get some boxes, bring them some boxes. Let's get some stuff out of here. Put it in your garage. It's okay. Buyers expect to see stuff in a garage. Good idea, Sharice, right? Yeah, they're already packed. What are they gonna do? Unpack now? Maybe not. Right,
No.
right. Connie and I just did a restyle on a house too. So cool. I mean, it's just great. You know, we used their furniture. We kind of did this little restyle. And it makes a big difference. Connie's got a great eye for it. She knows what sells. They're not living there, obviously, and we don't always stage the way we live, right? And you don't market it. We don't show a house the way we live. We just don't.
So
So
when you have guests coming over, you clean up before they come over,
Right.
if you know they're coming.
you hide everything, right?
Don't open the drawers, that's where all the boxes really are.
It's all gonna fall.
So
They finally, after they paid to have a person. And after they did, after what he told them, they canceled the listing. One in Conway, and I tried to get them, and tried to get them to pack. They put offers in on it, they never, and I knew if that's.
And you know what-
Now I know, I won't do that again because they're not going to.
And you know what a good strategy is, Tracy? Take them to some houses
Oh, I didn't.
and say, and say to them, when they're looking at houses that are for sale, do you see how nice this one is? Look how clean this is. Doesn't it feel great?
Well, they wanted. this house, they wanted the
But-
best house,
But they
so-
have the dirtiest one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, that makes me confused.
Yeah.
And it did not matter what I said to them, did it? So I learned, I mean,
Yeah.
Like you say, you know, there's a pet smell. I don't smell anything.
oh, it's usually good there.
Yeah. Yeah, we get used to where,
Nose blind.
yeah.
Reset it.
Yeah, and because pets are a problem too. That's the other thing you need to address. Because not everybody likes dogs. I love dogs, but
Or even the spices of what they cook with.
spices, cooking spices, you know, there's some things. In this one, strategic pricing analysis, it talks about the home that is priced at fair market value. Like, give this to it, read it to them. You know, just again, make it your own. And then it says, why choose me? Right, so I don't go over this page by page with people that are repeat customers or that are friends of mine. But I take it and I leave it with them and say, you know, read through this. But I do have a very serious talk with them about because they are my friends, and even more reason for me not
Yeah.
to care. Is there any questions online? Or are we okay?
Nope, everyone had chimed in and saying yes on being there when the appraisers are.
Okay.
Any questions from online?
So next week is office meeting. The week after that, we're gonna do a little workshop with listing presentations. So what I want you guys to do is buddy up with somebody. And we're just gonna take that hour to kind of present to each other, to role play a little bit. And then let's talk about what went well, what didn't go well, what is working, what isn't working. Like, because it's always a work in motion. The way I do a listing is maybe not the way Jared's gonna do a listing. You've got to have your own style, but I think the biggest thing is the confidence in the pricing. You've got to be confident in the pricing. You've got to believe it yourself before you can make them believe it. You've got to.
And the key too is professional, even with your most lax of friends. Even if it's your sister, you do the professional.
Yep. Make sure you're professional with it. So there's your training, Jim. I'm not looking at you though.
She's looking at the computer.
Jim did have a little bit of a rough go here. Like, it was 3 of them in a row that were a little bit, and we've all had that, right? We've all had them where they don't sell or they don't appraise. And then you've got to get into that horrible conversation of negotiating when it doesn't appraise, like how do we maneuver this?
And some not even offers, they're so far out of whack, they're just sitting there with no offers. And it's yeah, but I paid this. What you paid and what someone else is gonna pay are two totally different things, and that's a
Right.
tough conversation.
Right. And if they overpaid and they were working with a different agent, it's not your problem. And the market was probably just different.
Yeah.
That's all.
And Springville is,
Springville is tough right now because if you're in Montgomery Ranch, you've got the insurance that is through the roof and Del Oro water, which is crazy expensive.
and rates are still not where they were 3 years ago.
No.
You know, so you've got 3 strikes right now.
And out there, you can get USD financing, right?
Yeah, but still their payment
Even-
is so high when you go 100% financing.
Well, there's different ones.
There is some different ones. It's more the insurance rates
Yeah.
though that are killing people.
Yeah.
Like, we're
Ratios.
seeing $8,000 to $12,000 annual insurance premiums up there, which is craziness. So when you get a listing in Springville, which I just got 2, by the way, when people are showing, if they say their buyers are interested, before they submit an offer, they better start getting quotes on insurance because they're I-
That'll-
They will die when they see it.
Yeah, and it's eventually gonna get worse.
It-
Because of the wildfires.
Now it's gonna get worse. And this is the other thing. That's why, even more reason why these houses need to be priced properly. It's an emotional buy right now, because logically, it makes 0 cents to buy in Springville. 0. When you're paying $1,000 a month in insurance premiums or more, right? So they've got to absolutely adore this house and the price, be able to do it. And when they say, when you're getting feedback, right? If you get a listing that is too high and you better make sure you're getting feedback and give honest feedback to your seller. Now, sometimes I just send the text because I love to text and have the other agent text me back, and then I'll just screenshot it. Hey, this is feedback from the showing yesterday. But sometimes you got to tone it down, right? Because I'm not going to break people's hearts. If it's like that place, thinks it's horrible, it's the worst thing ever. I'm not going to send that to my seller. But whatever I'm trying to convey to the seller that is the reason, I might soften it and say, well, I use the feedback. This is what I'm hearing. The price is too high. This is what I'm hearing. They didn't like the smell. They smelled the dogs. This is what I'm hearing, because then it's not you saying it. It's them saying it, and it just kind of reinforces everything. So I think it's super important to get that feedback and tell them what that feedback is. And they've also got to realize that, well, when we bought the house, the sellers will always say, well, we only paid this amount in insurance. Yeah, well, that's not the case. Now,
Days are over.
those days are over. Yeah. Okay, so I hope that helps with the listings. Make sure you're working your sphere of influence so you can get these listings.
Is this what you emailed this morning?
We emailed out the other version, the new one,
But this
but
is
Sarah
the,
wasn't familiar with the other one, so. that's
this
why we
is
took
the
that
one I
too.
use. This is the one I like. And it's not mine. It's for you guys to use. I mean, Jackie just found it for me somewhere and
What's it?
Actually, you found it and sent it to me on Etsy.
oh, I found it. Yes.
So she bought this off of Etsy, and then we got access on Canva, so it's an Etsy Canva template. Which mind you, you can do more, there's more out there, they'll style them up a little differently, so like, I know last time a lot of people, they felt like it was a little too feminine, this one. So, I'm gonna ask Romy to
So,
go back and
but-
change some of the
But
font.
this one's more masculine font. We could
This is
change
more
that.
neutral, so I figured this one we can switch up the font to help add to it. But if you go online and you see others you like, sometimes like for the longest time, like Sarah said, she didn't have a listing presentation for some time, but she was using like a quick bio single sheet. And that was like a good like repertoire of like who I am, like I'm marketing myself. Having something is better than having nothing.
Well, and this is the other thing you can do. If you go up and look at the house and you come back, I like to do, I always tell them, I'm gonna come back, I'm gonna pull comps, I'm gonna meet with you again, and we're gonna do a marketing strategy. Guess what, guys? My marketing strategy is the same for everybody, but I don't tell them that. I'm like, oh, I'm coming up with a strategy for you, right? It's the same, but make sure, if nothing else, that you have a marketing strategy for them.
Yep.
Make sure.
You find it better to bring the hard copy
Yes.
than show it on the computer?
Yep.
Correct.
Yep. Because then you can leave it with them.
You know how many people like to take a magazine that they'll never read, but just take it because it's pretty and they like the pretty pictures?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that do.
So, but print this in color. Like I take it in color, not black
Yes.
and white like this. I take it in color. I also take downtown folders. So it looks very professional because our folders match our signs and
Upstairs,
Upstairs.
dollar each one, Jackie.
yeah. Jackie is the,
Tour eventually,
Jackie's the folder dealer.
Yeah, so all the apparel is upstairs. Any of the staff members can help sell it to you. We have access to the closet. Pretty much, it's an honesty drawer. So like in reality, like you're in an office and you need a folder, there is usually a drawer somewhere with them. You can grab it and leave the dollar on my desk or send me $1 later.
Yeah, we're not gonna fire you over $1.
Yeah.
So I would encourage everybody, practice, in 2 weeks. Have something, whether it's one of these that you're used to or your own. And then let's take it seriously and let's buddy up and let's do some role playing and let's work with it. This is where you guys are gonna make a lot of money. You'll run yourself ragged with buyers. This is where the money is, listings, right? And from listings come buyers. That's where you get buyers, from the sign calls, from all of that. But listings are the way to go. And so you need to be very confident, very professional, and feel good when you're going out on a listing. And if you have problems with comps, call me.
And I just think I need to just be willing to walk away from one like.
I think so,
Listen,
Yeah.
You can't lose what you.
Like I
did
said,
now.
I don't want you, I'd rather be mad at someone else.
right,
Yep.
exactly, exactly. I think, you know, Jim just doesn't want to disappoint people, doesn't want them upset, but I think they would have more respect if you just say, I just don't see it, and maybe I'm just not the right agent for you.
It's hard to do as a new agent.
It is hard, it's hard.
That's why you've really got to have this.
Agents that are, you know, so it's
That's why
really
you've
hard.
really got to have a listing presentation, and you better feel pretty comfortable about what you're doing. So if you are having a problem valuing something, call me so I can help you, so we can sit down
I think
together.
that's really important. When you see those price reductions. That's bad, because then when you get a buyer, they're gonna come in even lower.
That's right.
Do you guys use Moxie for your presentations? Or no? Oh, okay. Okay.
No. No, I know Chris does something on his computer. I just like going out with, I pull the comps, I print the comps.
All every now and then do is like, even I'll backtrack aside from just the comps, I show them what's active. And show them like, is your house better than this?
Yeah, this is your competition.
Like this.
How
is
does this
trending.
compare with yours? Why would somebody buy this one? I mean, that's what Jim and I talked about when you had Pleasant Oaks and then you sold the Dome House. And I asked Jim, why is, because they were almost the same size, they were very similar in age. And I said to Jim, why is Pleasant Oaks so much better? Why the price difference? Why is Pleasant Oaks better than the Dome House? It's not. So why is it 100 grand more? Right? That's, I mean, that's pretty,
Or kind of insurance quote with your own.
that's not too bad.
That's not bad, no. It's pretty good, right? It's that good.
Yeah. So
That's
let's,
great.
so let's all do, not next week, the week after, let's put a little bit of time into this. I'm giving you guys the homework. And let's figure a listing presentation. And if you have a really good one and you want to wow us with your listing presentation, that's great. It's better to make mistakes in front of friends, right? We're all friends. It's okay. If you want some criticism, some creative criticism, present.
Constructive.
It's constructive, Jim.
Yeah, hold on, but haven't you had positive results from it?
I'm like, Jim. That's right. And if you guys want help with marketing remarks on listings, that's fine too. But if you, I'm just gonna warn you, if you guys call me and say, will you help me with this? I'm gonna critique it.
And that's
But it helps
yeah.
us.
And you may not like it, but I will critique it down. I mean, like, you know, you've got too
I
many
forgot
of
to send you mine
this,
to rewrite
you've
it.
got many of this, you misspelled this word, you've got run-on sentences, like,
There's, Misty has one, there's a, I don't know what it is, I don't know what it's called. You put in there like your generic 3 bedrooms, about yada, yada, and it rewords everything.
That's chat.
Remember,
it's
Yeah.
chat.
Every time I'm like, oh, this is so great.
The problem with that, chat is great, but you gotta be careful. Because I see the agents who put everything into chat and then they put it right on the MLS and it's like a sprawling estate. Yeah, it's a 3-bedroom, 1 bath on the east side. And you're like, this is not like, you know, make the
There's some like,
yeah, make the description fit the property. Like,
Yeah.
don't be ridiculous with it.
It helped a little bit though.
It does help.
Some of your like.
So you can, there's 2 ways to go at chat. You can put I've told them I need marketing remarks for a, 3 bath, 2 bedroom, built in this year with a pool, a little dated, you can tell them about the
Yeah.
property and it'll spit something out. The other way is you can try and write it, you can put it in there and then ask them to refine it.
Mhm.
And they will it'll redo it.
Yeah.
So it's just the way you want to do it.
And if you don't put a descriptive word for it, like if you don't already tell it that it's charming, i.e. small and cozy, it will put sprawling or like gorgeous. So I learned that now that I put in already charming, because it's small, it added into it and it picked up on the description.
Yeah.
Right.
Anytime I see the word nestle, it's checking.
Nobody
Nestled
uses
in the heart of,
That's what the.
I went back to one of my listen descriptions, and I go, dang it, first word, nestle.
well, I looked at one, so, listing I recently did, it had been listed previously, and I look at the old listing description. I mean, I can see why you would, but for me personally, I'm like, why would you? Their listing description was right away acknowledging the schools nearby, like. Unless I have kids, I don't care where the schools are, and if I'm looking in this town, I already know where the schools are,
Yeah,
so that's pointless. Focus on the house.
yeah.
But the house
Sometimes you
had
need
so
filler.
much.
Yeah,
There was so many amenities already in there to highlight that it was unnecessary.
okay, so next week is office meeting. You guys need to focus on working your SOI. If you don't have 100 people in your database, I'm challenging you by the end of January, well, maybe the end of February,
Like, give me
to have 100. If you have 100, try and get to 2 by the end of February. There's 2 things you guys should be focusing on to be successful in 2025. And one is SOI and the second one is making sure you're confidently getting listings, right? That's how you're going to grow your business. We heard Brittany last week. It was phenomenal. She talked about events.
Mhm.
Brittany does 30 deals a year in Minnesota and she doesn't live there.
And she only goes there 6 times a year.
And you know how she does it? Working her sphere of influence and working from events. So, you know, TikTok videos are great. But working your sphere of influence is where the money is. Right? That's what you got to do. If you're not working your sphere of influence, you're working too hard.
Well, they can just shut down TikTok.
I don't care if they do.
It's Tuesday.
If they do or don't, you still got Facebook, you still got,
Yeah.
Yeah.
X, you still have
The news-
Snapchat,
the
and
news
you have
says-
text messaging.
The news says they're gonna shut it down, February.
Well, they already have a new app, if you haven't noticed, like whenever you go onto TikTok, it's called Lemon or something like
Oh,
that.
that's it, yeah.
It's a new app that's gonna replace TikTok or
Yeah.
be just like TikTok.
Okay, guys, that's it.
So we'll send out a recap with the listings and we'll send out kind of like here's your assignments, what we're working on. So we'll reevaluate, remind you your SOI, listing presentation partnership, and your manifestation letter that I've only gotten 3 back.
Yeah. Where's your manifestation letters, guys?
Your letter to your future self at the end of the year. Everyone will be getting nagged for that one too next week.
Mantra.
I got my mantras for my 24
Yeah.
people, but like I will be going for more.
Yeah, I did it yesterday.
Yeah.
So realistic, like in person.
You know what?
Make a feature.